Welcome to another session of Special Projects Real Estate Team. I'm your host, Shane Mayers. I'm the director of Special Projects Real Estate Team in New York City. We're based at 1180 Avenue Americas. That's in the low 40s on the 8th floor. We've been there for 10 years, and I expect to be there at least another 10 years. So I'm an established real estate guy in New York who can help early stage companies and growing SMBs operating in the greater New York area where I'm licensed. Today we're going to talk about tenant rep for businesses with multiple locations. New York City is going through a lot of changes economically and politically, and companies are starting to decide whether or not they should be there still, or if they maybe want to consolidate multiple locations in the city that are no longer needed and put everything under one roof. I have a certification from Cornet Global called QPCR, which is the precursor to MCR. And what it generally does, it's a tenant rep focus, workspace planning, and then securing the right space for your business. I take a CEO to CEO approach to help your CXO suite see its commercial real estate from a very high vantage point. In the past, say 30 years ago, companies were looking at space from more of a local level, 5,000 feet or so up, and how you just needed a piece of space to run an operation. You found a leasing agent or a tenant rep, secure the space, and stayed there for as long as you needed to. Business cycles have hastened dramatically in 30 years. And it's mostly because information is exchanged rapidly. Information can be exchanged within minutes, which can really change how your business is going to operate and what's important to it, and how external factors and shocks might impact your business operations. So you need more flexibility in your space occupancy, and you also need flexibility about how people work. It's not, the employees are no longer working in an office all day. There's hybrid workspace, a couple of days or 1 or 2 days at home, 3 days in the office is very common. Lifestyle needs are starting to supersede work time. So staff is often working flexible hours, not always, but certain times of back office employees may be working flexible hours and working from home instead of coming into the office, which is really not consistent with their lifestyle. So what I help you to do is first, I sit in on your CXO meetings. I have a CEO to CEO approach to handling the real estate. We see your space operations and your business operations from a very high level, so that we can understand what it is that the strategy is and how the real estate is going to help the business achieve its operational and profit goals. We're also looking at different types of space use, different types of IT applications to help workers be productive. We're also looking at whether or not you need multiple locations to be closer to key customers or clients, whether it be large operations, field offices, things like that. And then we look at the total space portfolio and about how that is helping the business achieve its strategy and its operating objectives. So there's a host of approaches that I use, which is we evaluate your enterprise objectives. We identify some general space solution engineering, maybe like a tabletop discussion about different types of space, how you're going to operate, how long you need to be there. We do things like general test fits of space from a set of floor plans that are existing. We're looking at your occupancy cost ratio. What's it costing you per employee to be in a space? Is it too high, acceptable, or is it low enough that if it becomes more costly later in the lease, you can still afford it in the budget? We get very we start talking to landlords at a very early stage um, to determine what's coming available. I look at space use in buildings, not so much from listings, but because we're talking with you at a very early stage, maybe 2, 3 years out from even doing anything, maybe even 4 years out, is that I'm talking to landlords about what space is coming available. If you need something like a couple of 1,000 feet, we're just going to be looking at listings. If you need something more, we start to be planning, and maybe a tenant is approach the landlord about downscaling or maybe moving out early, and your need could fill that void before the space hits the market. We look at the tax advantages of space leasing expenses or property ownership, depreciation, um, writing off your TI costs, space closing. If you need to close a space because it's not performing anymore, you don't need it anymore. Once we agree on all these parts, I assemble a project charter, which is signed off by an authorized signatory. I'll manage the construction. I may hire your architect, your general contractor, um, any mechanical, electricity, and plumbing, um, movers, and then after you're into the space, I'll probably help you up to 30 days after, just to make sure everybody's moved in, has what they need, nothing's lost, and that the landlord has provided you with the service that you expected. If you own a building, to make sure that your maintenance trades are locked in and available if you need them. I use something called a business analysis process while we're looking at the first initial discussion, in that we're talking about what the needs are, and then we'll build a wireframe of how we're going to go about finding a piece of space or spaces. My service is a strategic real estate brokerage service. So I'm really not a tactical guy. I'm getting involved very early in your space needs stage so we can find a space at a leisurely pace and get you the deal that you need, whether you are leasing or buying. In New York City, you're probably going to end up leasing because buying is just too expensive. And um, some companies on the larger side are buying um, commercial condominiums because they don't want to deal with rent increases. They need a fixed rate, but buying a condo is a very long-term viewpoint, meaning that once you take a space, you're probably not going to need to change it for at least 10 years. And then maybe something like owning with the cost of the maintenance every month is worth doing. That is the presentation. Um, if you are a company with multiple locations and you're starting to think about consolidating or maybe moving some of them, and you're either an emerging growth company, early stage, or you're a growing SMB and you want some high quality real estate service, please reach out to me at LinkedIn, find SP Holdings, send a connection request, and then send me a one paragraph explanation about what it is you're trying to do. I'll reply within a day, and then if I think I can help you, we agree to talk. We'll hold a Teams meeting and discuss this for an opening dialogue. And if I think I can help you and do the job the right way, then we'll have a different discussion with your partners, and from there we'll decide if we're going to meet. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this video was helpful to you, and perhaps I'll hear from you in the future.